Call the meeting to order. Will you join me for the pledge, please? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please.
Kurtz,
Yes.
Hill,
Yes.
Hannah,
Yes.
Lenius,
Yes.
Vaughn,
Yes.
Grover,
yes,
O'Laughlin,
Yes.
Thank you. I need a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved. Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the agenda. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carried. Next is our public forum. This is a time set aside for visitors and public comments only on topics of city business other than those listed on tonight's agenda. Please understand the council cannot take any action on your comments at this meeting due to requirements of the open meetings law, but may do so at a future meeting. Each speaker will be allowed a maximum of 5 minutes to state their comments. We thank you for your cooperation. First one on my agenda is Mary Kay Miller.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is Mary Kay Miller, address 1300 3rd Street Northwest, number 19 in Independence. Thank you so much, Council, and you get things done when asked. The American flags look awesome. You replaced the City Hall flag, which was worn and rather tattered. You replaced American flag at Bremer Park, and you had to use, the truck to put up a rope also, which our American Legion Auxiliary really appreciates. And the flag out by Prairie Hills is a welcome to the City of Independence. And our American Legion Auxiliary, we are considering selling American flags, and we need other projects too. So if you have ideas for us, we'd appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mary Kay. Next on here is Richard Wormuth.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and City Council. I want to just address
We just
you.
need your name and address.
Oh, I am so sorry. Richard
Sorry.
Wormuth, 812 3rd Street Southeast,
Thank you.
Independence, Iowa. I just wanted to bring 2 points to you tonight. I see that on the agenda is some of the 4th of July activities, and being part of the Ministerial Association, I just wanted to let you know about the July 2nd, which is part of the 4th of July activities in the park, Veterans Park, ecumenical service. Several churches will be represented there, and it'll begin at 9:30. And we have had, I think, last year around 400 in the park. So I just wanted to let you be aware of that. And also the other thing is I'm a former director of the Northeast Food Pantry. We had relocated. It meets one time a month, and it's the last Saturday of the month. And we had relocated into West Elementary, and we have changed our times to 9:30 to 11 o'clock for the food distribution. And that last month was the first time we were at the West Elementary, and it went fabulous, without a hitch. And the people who we served were just amazed at the facility and how well everything went. So I wanted to let you know if you hear anything about the food pantry, Northeast Iowa Food Pantry, it's a smashing success. And we had last month served double than what we had the month prior. So those are some good things that are happening in Independence, Iowa. I want to let you know. And also want to say thank you, City of Independence, for mowing my neighbor's yard. For the first time, it was mowed last week. Thank you.
Which Saturday did you say did you have a food pantry? What Saturday?
The food pantry will be the 27th of May. That's this coming Saturday. And
Is it always the fourth Saturday of
it
the
is
month?
always the fourth Saturday of the month. And it'll always be at the West Elementary. And they'll unload the truck at 8 o'clock, and we distribute at 9 5:30, okay?
Okay, very
Or
good.
an hour and a half. Thank you.
Thank you.
Richard?
Next on the agenda is accept and approve the consent agenda that approves the following: the minutes of the May 8th, 2017 regular meeting and the fire department financial statements for the month of April. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion is carried. Next on the agenda is approval of claims for payment. I need a motion and a second.
So moved.
Okay? You getting all that, Jenny, Gina? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Did I hear him?
I didn't.
Sorry, yes.
Okay, thank you. Opposed, the same. Motion is carried. Next on the agenda is petitions from the public, and we first have Officer Lau.
Well, good evening.
Good evening.
I guess to follow up from one of our comments on the lawn mowing taken care of by the city, it seems like this year, and I think it's because of the amount of rain that we've had as well as the nice weather, we've had more properties needing to be mowed this year by us than we have in the previous 2 years. I think the first 2 years that I was in charge of code enforcement, I only had to have 2 properties mowed for the entire 2 years. I was able to get those properties taken care of between me and the property owner. This year, I've already had to have 6 properties sent to Parks and Rec to be mowed. So, good and bad, it's the same people that I've had for the previous 2 years also that have been the ones not mowing. So, hopefully now they get a little bit of encouragement to stay on top of that so we don't continue to get the complaints from their neighbors. I've been working actively probably 20 to 25 properties on junk properties and junk vehicles for approaching our city amnesty day, which that number is down considerably from what we had the first 2 years that we worked the program. So that's a good sign. And as far as people placing debris in the roadway, that number is also way down this year compared to the previous 2 years. And part of that, what I like to see is we've also had an increase in complaints and public comments to our department, actually reporting stuff that they're seeing, you know, in their neighbor's backyard or somewhere that normally we wouldn't see. So it's been a big help for us to have the public's input, and I still encourage them, you know, for immediate feedback to come to City Hall if they wish to fill out a form. But for the most part, people have contacted me directly and been very informative and left, you know, their information and callback numbers, which has been helpful. So far, we're off to a good start this year, and it's looking better than it has the past 2 years.
Okay.
Is there a way they can email to you?
I have a city email, yes. They could email me there too. And whichever way they do it, it's just nice to be able to keep the documentation, you know, if they leave me their information, that way I can follow up with them. But email would be good too.
Do they know what your email is?
We could actually post it out on the city's website
Okay.
with something in regards to that, but it's a department email that all of us officers each have a department email. And mine is just Lau and then 113@indytel.com.
Okay. Does anybody else have any other questions? Thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you.
Next is St. Jude's 5K. Is Zachary Fischels here? Hi.
Good evening,
Just
Council.
give us your name and address first, and
Zachary Fischels, 2089 245th Street, Independence, Iowa.
thank you.
So as you guys approved last week, or last meeting, I guess, we're throwing a 5K for St. Jude Children's Research Hospital on June 24th, starting at 8 a.m. We're going to start at the Independence High School and end at the Independence High School parking lot. We've had it approved by the police department, the school, and we're having insurance pending based off how many people get registered. Since the insurance company will need that, I have some flyers for the council here to look at, in addition with a map that you can share among you. And then we're going to have, as Captain Brinkma requested, people at every intersection within the city with safety vests And besides that, I'm just here to answer any of your questions you guys have on the event.
I think the only question they had last time was whether you had the insurance coverage. That was not
Yep,
for sure.
I will provide that to the city once we get it. We're just waiting for the correct number of people to sign up so we can give that to the insurance company and get a good quote. So,
Okay,
Is the internet the only way you can get signed up for this?
nope, there's a phone number on there too, or you can show up the day of the event, or call that phone number, or you can contact myself as well.
What's the fee for that?
$25 right now. It goes up, I think, 2 weeks before the race to $30. And if you do sign up online, there's some discounts available.
anything else? Okay, I don't think we have to do anything on that because we already approved it the last meeting. So,
Yeah.
thank you
Yeah.
very much for
Thanks,
being here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next on the agenda is the Independence Day Celebration Committee. I see that Juan is here.
Hello, Juan Rodriguez, 506 15th Avenue Northeast. I'm a representative of the Independent Celebrations Committee, and we're here for our annual approval and discussion about this year's celebration. As most of you know, the celebration gets bigger and bigger every year, and we're very proud of it, and it's a great showcase for our community. I think we sent you a packet in regards to street closures and other things, which is, nothing's changed. It's basically what we've done in the past. So if anybody has any questions or...
Does anybody want me to read through all that for the motion as far as the chapters and everything, or you have that?
I don't think you need to.
I
Same
prefer,
as-
I prefer
same as-
not to, but that's up
Same,
to you.
same as before, and
What?
I've read it myself.
Yeah. Okay, so you, at least you guys will know what you're making a motion on, whatever. Does anybody have any questions of Juan for this?
Thank you for your service.
Thank you. Well, you know, the committee would like to thank the city, the businesses that contribute, and all of the citizens that volunteer for the event. We wouldn't be able to put on such a great event without all that help. So
We'll all hope that we have good weather and a good turnout.
16, well, this is year 16, and so far we've been pretty lucky.
Have you? Okay, good, good, thank you.
All right, thank you.
thanks, Juan.
Thank you.
Then I will need a motion to approve. Motion and second,
I'll make the motion.
okay?
I'll second it.
Motion and second to approve for the Independence Committee celebration. Do you want a roll call for this? Okay.
Hill,
Yes.
Hannah,
Yes.
Lenius,
Yes,
Vaughn,
Yes.
Grover. Yes. O'Laughlin,
Yes.
Kurtz.
Yes.
Thank you, motion carried. Next on the agenda is the Independence Chamber of Commerce 4th of July Parade. And again, that's on your thing. I don't think anything's changed as far as the chapters that have to be amended, street closings and such. Brian has already sent in paperwork to the state for the street closings.
The state has approved the Highway 150 traffic interruption.
Okay. And our director is here if you have any questions. This is his first year. He gets to experience our parade and the setup and
I've been warned.
Did the mayor tell you what kind of car she likes?
what kind of what?
Car you like to ride in?
A convertible?
No?
Does that make a difference?
How fancy of one.
Oh, I hope, I have the same friend, I think, is offering to let me use his car again, so. My built-in chauffeur.
You're not driving?
No. No, don't think I could even reach the gas pedals, to tell you the truth, so. Does anybody have any questions?
I make motion we approve.
Okay,
Second.
okay. Roll call, please.
Hannah,
Yes.
Lenius,
yes,
Vaughn,
Yes.
Grover. Yes. O'Laughlin,
Yes.
Kurtz,
Yes.
Hill.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion
you.
carried. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Next is Buchanan County Historical Society proclamation. Would you like me to read that, or do you guys want to come and talk about it a little bit, or?
Cheryl Hand, 235 Terrace Drive, treasurer of the Buchanan County Historical Society.
Leanne Harrison, 514 Fifth Avenue Southwest, President, Historical Society.
Judy Scott, 809 Third Avenue Southwest, Secretary, Historical Society.
Okay. Want me to go ahead and read this, and then you guys can talk more about it? It says, whereas historical preservation is relevant to the communities across the nation and for Americans of all ages, and as whereas it is important to celebrate the role of history in our lives and the preservation of the heritage that has shaped us as people. And whereas the Buchanan County Historical Society is a dedicated group for preserving local history, and whereas their latest project is preserving the Daniel S. Lee Mansion and restoring it to its former glory. Now, therefore, I, Bonita Davis, Mayor of Independence, Iowa, do hereby proclaim June 15th, 2017 as a day of celebration of the 150th anniversary of the Lee Mansion, and call upon the people of Independence to join their fellow citizens in recognizing and participating in this special event. Any questions?
The Lee Mansion, for some of you newcomers and TV land, if you don't know, AKA, it's the old People's Hospital, and we, the Historical Society, have had this building for a number of years. So between that and the mill, we have our hands full. But each building is 150 years old this year, and so we are celebrating the Lee Mansion 150th on a Thursday evening, June 15th, from 4:30 to 7:30. Victorian games, croquet, and all that kind of stuff, and pie and ice cream. So you're all welcome.
Is the mill 150 years old too?
Yes.
Same time? Okay.
Our new windows should be in by then, too.
Windows, not the mill, but the mansion, you mean?
The mansion, the 4 windows facing the library.
So there will be tours of the mansion too, that people can do that. Do you, is the mayor going to be there?
You're the mayor.
The previous mayor. The last time somebody depicting the mayor was there, so.
Well,
Captain Lee will not be there this year.
Does he? Okay, okay. Does newspaper want pictures? Do you want to do that now?
You're available.
I actually made copies of this so each of you could have them. Waddle down there. You the original.
Okay.
Nice big space for
yeah,
me.
that's right.
I just remind the council that you'll be in the background, so.
Smile.
You want me to
Yeah,
smile?
yeah.
1, 2, 3, go.
Are you hungry?
Fraser.
There you go. It's vitamin C.
Now if I can get scooted back up here again. Okay, next on the agenda is application for home occupation. Is it Tice? Tice Bookkeeping? That's
Yes.
on your papers, show his application. Is he here tonight at all? No? Okay.
Mr. Cook has been to the site and reviewed it, and everything is acceptable.
Okay,
I move we go ahead and approve it.
okay. Is there a second?
Yeah, I'll second it.
Okay, any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Lenius,
Yes.
Vaughn,
Yes.
Rover,
Yes.
O'Laughlin,
Yes.
Kurtz,
Yes.
Hill,
Yes.
Hannah.
Yes.
Thank you, motion is carried. Next on the agenda is St. John's parking lot request to sell their scratch cupcakes curbside. Do
St.
we
Jo-
have to do some adjusting of chapters of ordinances for that?
Yes, they had asked if they can use the parking lot west of St. John's Church, which is a city parking lot, for parking Scratch Cupcakes trailer when they come in, get them off the street, and I think it's a good location for it. You do have to waive Chapter 42, public-private property fundraising, Chapter 69, parking regulations for certain purposes, and Chapter 122, peddlers, solicitors, and transient merchant.
This event's not until August 29th is when they're having it by this?
That's correct.
Okay.
I don't see any reason not to. I'll make a motion.
I guess, I just had a question. You know, if other groups came to us and want to be able to do the same type of thing for a fundraiser, would we be receptive to that?
Probably.
Just
I
curious.
just- I think we've used-
I've never heard of us doing it before. That's why I'm asking.
We had actually encouraged them to look at a parking lot other than the one at St. John's because of the size. We didn't want the traffic. Scratch Cupcake apparently, and I'm not real familiar with them, but they're very popular in the area, and they can expect some lines, people coming in, and we did not want traffic in the street. The city parking lot is larger, it gets everybody off the street and into the parking lot, so there's a safety issue there, as opposed to, a smaller area that they had talked about. So from the standpoint of the city, it's a safety issue, but we want to make sure that we follow all the guidelines and protocols, if you will, to make it as convenient and safe as possible. Scratch Cupcake is coming back to Independence in October for National Cities Week as well. But on August 29th, it's not even a full day, it's a one-day event, basically, that they'd be using it.
I know they've been out of the hospital before all the construction started and everything, that they've been there, so.
Parking lot won't be tied up long.
No. They sell out pretty fast, so.
Yep. Did you make the motion, Mike?
I did.
Mike made a
I'll
motion.
second it.
Okay. So I have a motion and a second to approve this event. Roll call, please.
Vaughn,
Yes.
Grover,
Yes.
O'Laughlin,
Yes.
Kurtz,
Yes.
Hill,
Yes.
Hannah,
Yes.
Lenius.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion is carried. Next is under hearings and ordinances, Chapter 180, Airport Zoning Regulations, public hearing and first reading. I need a motion to receive and file proof of publication of the notice of this public hearing.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, so I have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carried. Next, we need a motion to hold the public hearing.
So moved.
Okay? Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion is carried. And we are now in public hearing.
This is oh, go ahead, come on up.
Karen Connell, 312 Second Avenue Southwest. If this is the zoning ordinance that was on the website, this has already been before the county zoning and been approved, but we did have to make some corrections, and I would advise the council to make those corrections. The runway, they're listed in here wrong. It should be 1836. And also, the instrument approaches are on both runways, not just the one, non-precision approach, GPS. That has to be, it needs to be corrected. I think it needs to be corrected now before the council approves it, so that it's right, because it's going to be all uniform between the county, the city, the state, the federal government, and everything. So we made that correction on the county level and through the state, and all that. So I think it would be wise to do that here. Thank you.
Is our website the only place that it's at? So I don't see it on our agenda, or on our, in our packet. Oh, there it is.
There.
Okay. Didn't pull the packet up high enough. Okay.
I did talk to Brian Schoen at Intercog today about the zoning ordinance, and he's aware of those changes, and will make those. He said this will mirror the county's airport zoning regulation that they have adopted. Most of what you see here is already regulated, mandated by the FAA. They're just bringing our city code up to par with not only the FAA's requirements, but also what the county has adopted. And I do concur that it needs to be changed to 1836, but he's aware of that.
So these corrections, are they made or not made now?
He's got them made on his copy. If you choose to approve this on first reading, you would need to approve it with those changes, or subject to those changes.
So the real purposes of this is for us to bring ours up to the same as the counties and the state.
Up to the same as the county, so they're consistent, but more importantly, consistent with FAA's requirements. Most of these changes are already governed by FAA regulation, so there's not a lot you're going to be able to change in that, because they're the ones that are really giving us a template ordinance, and for our airport, that's what we adopt.
I'd like to make the motion, we approve it with the updates.
Well, we have to close our hearing first.
Right.
Excuse me?
We'd have to close our public hearing before
We're in
we
public hearing right now.
Just remember what I said.
No, we're going to remember what Karen said.
Yeah. Was there anything, did you get anything in writing on regards to this or anything?
No, I didn't.
Okay. Any other comments? Then I need a motion to close the hearing and receive and file oral and written comments.
So moved.
Second.
A motion and a second to close the hearing. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Did I hear one from, are you still there, Austin?
Yeah, I said aye.
Oh,
You can't
I'm sorry.
overrule it anyway.
I couldn't hear him. I just wanted to wait, and make sure I got him all.
One guy ain't gonna overrule it.
More than sympathize with everyone else.
Okay, motion carried, thank you. Next, then, I need a motion to receive and file and consider the adopting the whatever you said, because I
Yeah,
didn't have a
whatever I
second.
said,
Whatever he
yeah.
said earlier.
Approve it with amendments.
She's got it.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
I don't think I had a second on that, though,
I'll second.
okay? Do you want to go ahead and read back the actual motion then? Make sure we have it right?
To receive, file, and consider adopting the ordinance for the first time with noted changes to mirror the county's ordinance regulations.
Okay, and I need a roll call, please.
Grover,
Yes.
O'Laughlin,
Yes.
Kurtz,
Yes.
Hill,
Yes.
Hannah,
Yes.
Lenius,
Yes.
Vaughn.
Yes.
Thank you, motion is carried. Next is.
And we waive the second and third reading, since this is,
Yes. You have it posted properly for that, so if you want to, you can go ahead.
so, I mean, this is something we have to do.
The-
I mean,
You
this
have to
is-
do this. If you choose not to do it, it's still in effect because it is the FAA regulation. The reason that we put it on here with the second and third readings is because as soon as you approve this, move it forward, we can submit our application for reimbursement. We do have about an 80% cost share from the FAA, and we've got, I don't know, about $12,000 tied up in this work to this point. So part of it is to get our money back when we can as well.
so if we waive the second and third, we move up, being able to request probably 4 weeks.
Yes.
Okay,
I'd make the motion that we waive the second and third readings.
okay, is there a second to that?
I would second that.
Okay. Do you need a roll call on that part, or just on that? Okay, go ahead.
O'Laughlin,
Yes.
Kurtz,
Yes.
Hill,
Yes.
Hannah,
Yes.
Lenius,
Yes.
Vaughn,
Yes.
Grover,
Is
He's calling in.
that his ringing, or is that you ringing?
Me, it's Fort Madison.
Oh.
With Austin?
Did Austin say yes on
Yes,
that?
he did.
Okay, thank you. Motion is carried. Then I need a motion to adopt the ordinance.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion and second to adopt the ordinance. A roll call, please.
Kurtz,
Yes.
Hill,
Yes.
Anna,
Yes.
Lenius,
Yes.
Vaughn,
Yes.
Grover,
Yes.
O'Laughlin.
Yes.
Thank you, motion carried. So that's all taken care of. Next on the agenda is a motion to set date of public hearing for Monday, June 12th, 2017 at 6:30 PM in City Hall, Council Chambers for the amendment of City of Independence Code of Ordinance, Chapter 41.13 of fireworks.
Is that our workshop?
No, that's your regular council meeting.
'Cause our- Okay, we have a workshop the 5th, which is mainly ordinance stuff.
What, we have a couple of things on the agenda for the workshop. However, to adopt an ordinance, amending an ordinance in this case, you do have to have a public hearing. This simply sets the date for the public hearing to be June 12th.
Okay.
Do I hear a motion to set that date?
Can we then pass this on the 26th, so it's in effect for the 4th?
Well, I would give you the opportunity to hold the public hearing, waive second and third reading, and adopt it on the 12th, which I would actually recommend if you're going to make that change, so that it goes into effect closer to when fireworks are being sold, which is, and I don't have the exact dates that the state gave us in front of me. Yeah, so I mean, we're right on top of it already.
Okay.
You don't have to, but we will give you that opportunity on the 12th to do it all at one time, which would be the most prudent, I think.
I have a motion from Vaughn.
You what?
I have a motion from Vaughn.
Did we have a second?
I don't.
I'll second.
Okay. So we have a motion and a second to set Monday, June 12th at 6:30 as the day for the public hearing. You don't need a roll call on this? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion is carried. Thank you. Now we're under resolutions. First one I have is a motion to approve a resolution to submit documents and plans in accordance with the state aviation grant application requirements.
This is the council support resolution for the state Department of Transportation Aviation grant for a self-serve fueling station at the airport. This is an 85-15 match. The state aviation funds are tight. They reduced some funding there apparently, and so it's going to be even tighter, but we are submitting an application. This is the second time we've submitted this particular proposal to the state for funding of a self-serve fueling station. It is in the city's airport 5-year CIP.
Does this basically just say that we've done these 5 things that are listed here under the second whereas?
Yes, this resolution is saying that we approve the application, we approve the 5-year capital improvement program, you're reaffirming the CIP that it is in there. The project data sheets, which have already been submitted, certification of the local match exists, which is our 15% contribution, and authorization of submittal of projects for state grants.
We've submitted it once and we're not successful.
That's correct.
Last year.
Is that the only time, that the first time was last year that we submitted it,
For this,
particular thing?
for the self-serve fueling, yes, it is.
Okay. Okay.
Karen Connell, 312 Second Avenue Southwest. I just have a question. Is this really a necessary expense, a necessary absolute need that we have to do this with the debt that the city has? Do we is this something, is this wisely spending money? I think we have a full staff at the airport at this time to pump fuel, and I was there for many years. I didn't really see a lot of demand after hours, unless you decided, at 5 o'clock you're not going to do anything, but that was a benefit to the fixed base operator, to do those sales. And I think it's customer service. I think it's a great thing for the presence of that person to be there. They might not just have a fuel issue, but, they might have something else that they have to deal with. Yeah, I think that's kind of the reason that you have a fixed base operator too. So I'd like to have you consider the expense for, now if I was still out there at my age, yeah, okay, no. No, I think the customer service is what we should consider, really. I think that's very valuable to the airport. Thank you.
Thank you, Karen.
A little bit of background, a little bit of background on this is we were originally asked, I can't remember their names, but several of our T-hanger renters had brought this up to the manager that they had seen this at other airports and they thought it was a good idea. So that's kind of where the idea originally came from. And so it's kind of one of those projects that, as she said, we can live without. It would be nice. I guess one of the things is putting in for the grant to see if we can even get it. I know a month or so ago we had a situation where there was a mix-up and somebody had to wait quite a while to fuel an airplane, whereas with something like this, they would have been able to fuel the airplane and get out of there. So,
Is this one of those things where we would maybe have a liability, them putting the wrong fuel in their airplane?
I don't think so. I mean, this is very similar. You see this, a lot of co-ops will have self-serve fueling where you just go in and use your card. I mean, I think there's one right up here on the south edge of Owine. I think, they would know what they're putting into their plane. I mean,
You would
I
hope.
think Karen had a pretty good point, but I kind of look at it from a different angle too. I've been in business and Bob's been around business. Maybe he's even been in business. Several of us have. And every time that I want to improve my business and pump more money into it, I got to reach my billfold. I never did come to the city and ask for them to improve my business. And that's principally what's going on here. It's just like the other day, we received a bill for $3,300, and that wiped out 33,000, the profit for 33,000 gallons of fuel, just on one little item. And we only pump 48, I think it is. So we're the ones sticking our neck out here. And at best, we're gonna get our head chopped off. I mean, that's the best case scenario. And I've got nothing against them putting self-serve fuel out there. I really don't. But, if that's the case, let him put the money up.
Is this a natural progression to modernization, modernizing an existing structure that we have?
Yeah.
And
Well,
somebody
it would
else
be
paying
modern, and it would be
85%
alternate.
of it, and we pay 15%? Would it produce more people purchasing fuel?
Oh, that's debatable. We could talk about that for weeks. Nobody knows. But going on our existing figures, no, I mean, we pump 48,000 gallons of fuel a year. And we supply all.
We have pumped 40,000.
We have the pump, but we also supply
But I mean, we've
the
pumped-
overhead to it.
Yeah.
Well, just on that one bill wiped out the profit on 33,000 gallons of our 48,000. Just on one bill. That wasn't anything to do with card readers. I'd love to have a business like that where somebody else is footing the bill. Wouldn't you like to have a business
Well,
like that?
I want to clarify It is not the airport manager or the FBO that is requesting this. This is based on requests from our tenants that are at the airport. This is not Jonathan asking us to do this. This was based on those people that we're serving.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I want to be really clear who's asking for us to do this. It's not about customer service. Jonathan has never expressed a concern or an unwillingness to continue to do that. The airport engineer did state in the meeting, the committee meeting, that, you know, when he was asked, would this increase sales, he says it's hard to say, probably, but, you know, there's nothing scientific behind it, so he's not going to stand behind, absolutely, you're going to double your sales. He doesn't want to send that message. The fuel sales have gone up on average, well, I shouldn't say on average, 10, 15% over the last couple of years. Are there more fuel sales? Yes. Astronomically? No. But if you do this, it is based on an 85-15 match. It's using the state aviation funds to help fund it.
So what's our 15% every year?
Well, no, this is based just on this project specifically.
No, I mean, what's our
fixed cost
What's
of
it
the
cost us and
15%?
what do we make?
We make 10 cents a gallon. The 15% is what we're gonna have to cough up on this grant money. 15%.
I know,
of what?
15% of what?
Well, we don't know that.
What-
Maybe we do.
Well,
We,
what was
we
the-
should know, we should be able to
What was the,
come fairly close.
But
I mean-
before I make that number up, let me grab that real quick for you.
I mean, to me, it's as simple as, you know, figuring out how much it's gonna cost, how much revenue, and how many people it's really gonna serve, and if they really want it, or just kinda want it. You know,
yeah, I think it's just one of those things where they've seen it at other airports, and I mean, it's not a major
Right.
deal, as Al said. Jonathan just said, hey, I've been approached, if people want it, here's how, we said, how do we get it? We said, you file for this grant. Last year, it was turned down. It'll probably get turned down this year because money is really, aviation grants and funding are really becoming tight right now. It's kind of like a lot of things. I think the bigger airports are, you know, just like road and everything else, Des Moines, Cedar Rapids, when funds get tight, they seem to find the projects.
It'd be nice to know how many people out there really want it and how many don't. For us to
Well-
hear, it's hearsay what we're hearing. I can't imagine owning a plane and having to fuel it yourself. I'd expect somebody to do that and if Jonathan or whoever wasn't out there when the incident you told about, that sounds like a management problem.
No, it is.
Well, and I go to Walmart, I don't want to go through the thing where I have to check myself out. I want somebody to check me out. I don't want
I don't
to do
either.
their job for them. And I'm sorry, you know, I'm coming from a retail background, and I just detest that kind of thing. But that's just me.
The engineer's estimate for the project is $44,000. The request for reimbursement is $37,250.
so it's gonna cost us $7,000, $6,000 or $7,000.
Yes.
And it's not gonna generate anything.
Not a thing.
I mean,
I'm not going to sell it to you on the standpoint of you're going to make more money with it. The engineer said sales generally go up with it, but he's not going to.
but let's say sales go up a little bit and we make an extra 3,000, so we're still out 3,000. Is it really a big deal?
Well, the only thing I'm going to point out here is the airport has never made money, period. We've built T-hangars, we built the terminal building. If we only do things at the airport to make money, we're not going to do it. So, I mean, I don't care whether we do this or not, but as Denny said, the city's had ongoing costs over the years. That's the city's, we've paid for other projects that have been done at the airport before the current manager was there. We'll pay for things at the airport when the current manager is no longer there. it's one of those things. I mean, we've been through the rentals on the T-hangers. We're not making money on those T-hanger rentals. We're way under what, if we were in normal retail, what we would charge for rent on those T-hangers. So if we decide all of our decisions on the airport on whether or not we're going to even be in the black, that's probably not going to be the decision maker on it. This is something that was requested. We've had in the past, we've had people want us to build hangars because a helicopter, somebody said, hey, I want to put my helicopter out at the airport, let's build a hangar for them. We didn't. If we don't want to do this, we don't need to. But if we don't, if only decisions are made by whether or not we're going to make a super amount of money at the airport, we're not going to do anything out there. So this is a project to modernize. It's something that the people that use the airport, I mean, we've had discussions on closing the leaf dump on one person saying, I don't like the smell of the leaf dump. That's just one of those things. Yeah, have we had every one of the tenants out there say they'd like this?
Does
No.
this give the operator an option of having somebody pump the fuel for him, or is it, if we go with this, it's strictly self-service?
No, I think you have the option of doing it either way. I don't see this replacing the airport manager or the FBO's responsibilities, but it does give you the option of doing it if you don't want somebody out there. I don't view it as being significantly different than when you pull into Casey's or Quick Star. You know, other than at the airport, we do have an airport manager that is there, should we need him to be or if you want him to be.
Okay, so leaving the money aside from it and customers, like, we've had a lot of people that want this, or one or two, or does anybody know the number?
Not a lot. I wouldn't say a lot.
Is it one or two, or?
Probably. I mean, I would say probably 1, 2, 3 at the most. I mean, it's not a,
Okay.
it's not a major thing. We're just putting it here. If the council doesn't want to, that's fine.
My thinking is if we're gonna do it eventually anyway, I like an 85% pad from somebody else paying it and me paying 15%.
Well, and the thing is, if we don't follow through on it and we've applied for the grant, it doesn't look very good for us.
No, they do get awful.
They get real excited then.
We haven't applied for it yet, though, right?
No.
The application has been submitted. It is waiting the council's resolution to support, or for support on it.
But I don't have a problem disapproving it because that's always, over the years, if we don't apply for the money, it'll go away. If we don't apply for the money, it'll go away. I mean, we built things in the past based upon, if we don't build it now, the money will go away. I didn't agree with it then, I don't agree with it now. It's simply a potential project if, so I guess if we don't want to do it, we just don't even need to make a motion. Just let it die.
Is there a percentage that FAA is reimbursing us and stuff? Can that change where next time we want to do this, it could be only 75% they'll pay for it and we end up picking up a bigger tab?
Well,
Is that starting to change?
It has changed. It was an 80-20 split. It's up to 85-15 this year. How often they change, I can't answer that. It's always subject to change. Can it go away? Sure. I mean, you know, I don't think that you're going to make your decision based on the percentage. The fact is that if there is a local match to a state or a federal grant, they need the council's resolution of support. If you don't want to avail yourself of that opportunity, I agree with Bob. Don't.
I make a motion that we endorse the grant as a council.
So you're, the motion to approve the resolution thing, okay. Do I hear a second?
I'll make a second so we vote on it.
Okay. I do have a motion and a second to approve the resolution as to submit documents and plans in accordance with the state aviation grant application requirements. Roll call, please.
O'Laughlin,
Yes.
Kurtz,
Yes.
Hill,
Yes.
Hannah,
No.
Lenius,
No.
Vaughn,
No.
Grover,
Yes.
Does it have to be just a super majority?
No, simple majority.
Simple majority.
So it does pass with just 4-3? Okay, motion is carried. Thank you. Next on the agenda is salary increases. Motion to approve the salary resolution for fiscal year 2017, 2018 pay increases. I believe you have copies of that also.
I would ask that you consider, you have two different attachments. One is for non-union employees and salaried employees. The second one is for library personnel. You're more or less rubber stamping the library board's decision, but that is on there. They've added to that. They do have the right to set their staff salaries under state code. So it is in there. We include it so that it is part of our record as well, but please be aware that they're both in there.
So we're approving actually both of them, or do we even need to do the,
Well, the library one, I'm asking you to, but
the resolution that you would approve states in there that the library board has set theirs. And that's why I included their letter.
okay.
and they're in line with what we have recommended for the non-union personnel and salaried employees.
Now, the library, whatever they approve, that comes out of what we gave to them as their
budget.
Their budget.
Right.
So.
Yeah, it's within their spending
We've
authority.
discussed this in the past. I mean, if they go higher than what we want, what we do, everyone else, they just have to figure out something else to cut out of doing from their budget.
Correct.
Okay. This has been, I'm not on the committee anymore. This was before the government performance.
Well, and we went through it, and a lot of it was based upon the merit reviews and everything that that Al has done this year. And we set the increases based upon that. So the Finance Committee agrees with it.
I make the motion to approve it then.
I'll second it.
Okay, have a motion and a second to approve a salary resolution for fiscal year 2017, 2018. If there's no further discussion, we'll do a
And
roll.
we're, 3% basically is what we're saying here?
3% on the non-union. The department head salaries were set based on performance reviews. Not all of them are at 3%, but it's based
They
on
were
performance.
very
reviews.
close to that.
Okay, all right.
Roll call, please.
Kurtz,
Yes.
Hill,
Yes.
Hannah,
Yes.
Lenius,
Yes.
Vaughn,
Yes.
Grover,
Yes.
O'Laughlin.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion is carried. Next on the agenda is a motion to approve an engineering agreement with whoever for the stormwater improvement project.
In previous discussions, if I want to make sure I'm reading this tally, this is kind of like golf scores, the lowest score. Wins.
In honor of
Which
spring.
I never do, so I got to make sure what the rules are.
Yes, one is considered the preferred, two the next, et cetera, to the highest number being the least preferred under each category. There's a couple different ways. I didn't put any of the voters' identities on there. Under the stormwater tab, you've got both Crawford and WHKS with 3 council people preferring them as the top, and Bolton and Mink has 1 first place vote. But your composite scores as far as who was first, second, third, and fourth. Crawford and WHKS were both at the low score of 15.
Well, I guess I'll go first. I think, this is what we asked Al to do, was to provide us with a ranking, and we all went through and did this. As it is, Crawford and WHKS are, significantly lower than the other two. Can I make a recommendation? Well, I guess my recommendation is, for Crawford and WHKS are tied. Crawford is local. I would make the recommendation that we choose Crawford.
I'd second that.
Any other discussion?
Was that a recommendation or a motion?
That was my
I'll make a
question.
motion. I'll make a motion.
And Deb seconded.
I just didn't know if I was gonna get thrown out if I made a motion all by myself.
Not clear down the steps anyway.
You're making a motion to approve an engineering agreement with Crawford for the stormwater
the
improvement
stormwater,
project, because
yes.
then we have the next one coming up afterwards, that, so. And Bob, you seconded it?
No.
Deb seconded, it. Okay, I'm sorry. No other discussion, we have a roll call, please.
Hill,
Yes.
Hannah,
Yes.
Lennius,
Yes.
Vaughn,
Yes.
Grover,
Yes.
O'Laughlin,
Yes.
Kurtz.
Yes.
Okay, motion carried. And then the next one is in regards to the, what's the other one called? Southwest Water System upgrades.
On the Southwest Water System upgrades, Crawford had a composite score of 12, Bolton and Mink 13, AECom 17. Bolton and Mink did have four first place votes. Crawford has 3 first place votes.
Yeah, I think going on Mike's, I would make a motion, we approve Crawford for this one.
I second that.
Okay, motion to approve an engineering service agreement with Crawford's for the Southwest Water System project. There's no further discussion, I call for a vote.
I do
Sorry.
have just
Okay.
something I'd like to bring up. I think when we were going through the presentations on this one, and from a technical standpoint, I think Crawford's can do, either. I think all of them could do either. But there was one part of it that I think we need to at least come up with. And I thought Bolton and Mink did a very good job of talking about, I think it was the grant writing, or the grant writing process. I didn't hear any of the other people really emphasize that. Is it in fact a really important part of this that we need to think about, or do we just assume that everybody can do it?
Mike, and I don't want to stretch too far back there. I'm not sure it was the grant writing piece that they talked about as much as the grant, working with the state on securing the grant after it's written, because there is a
Could be,
level of
but they seem to be
communication.
much more engaged, at least they
Right.
presented it to be that way. I will admit that, one point difference really doesn't, isn't a big thing, so from that standpoint, I can almost call them equal. But that was the one thing that did stand out to me, was there was quite a lot of an emphasis by Bolton and Mink on that process, and perhaps it wasn't as important as I thought.
I guess the grant writing part, I think, the grant writing, that wasn't, I don't think that was a big difference to me. I mean, everybody talks about how many people they have a couple of drinks with or coffee with. I'm not sure that has anymore with the way money is and the way you go down the checklist, we've been told, like with the airport, anymore, they go down through the list and they got a checklist, and that's basically the way it is. The one thing, though, that I would really like to see done on this, and I think Brian can work with us on this because they have another company that has those abilities, but one of the things we've really worked hard at is putting everything on, and I might be using the wrong.
GIS deal.
GIS. And part of that has been so that the guys out there on the sidewalk can get to it. I just putting it on CAD and those kinds of programs are somewhat tedious for the average person to use those programs. And so I guess I would like to recommend that all of this information, and I think, as I said, I think Crawfords have a source to be able to do this with, is that we put all this information on GIS just for future reference and current ease of use, so.
Brian, do you want to come up and add anything here? Since you're sitting back there so patiently.
I'll just reiterate kind of what we've talked about on all three of these projects, and that is that Mike's comment about the funding, we'll certainly follow up on the LMI study that's already been done and work with economic development in order to get the grant application submitted. There are other sources out there too for grant writing. As Al said, Intercog is essentially there at your service to assist in that. So yeah, if there's funding out there, trust me, we're going to work to get you the funding that is available to push these projects through.
And for clarification, at this point, we've approached it from the standpoint of using Intercog to write the grant because we don't pay for it unless the grant is awarded. It costs the City of Independence nothing unless it's awarded. If it is awarded, those administration fees are paid to Intercog, and they're included in the grant as part of the grant, which they would be for anybody who is working on it. But also, Intercog would be the grant administrator, because we do not have to go through a procurement process. We already have that by virtue of our 28E agreement. It just simplifies our life, and that's what those folks do. And so,
and you're certainly not the only community that's using them. They're widely used for that purpose.
And that's been a conversation we have had with all of the firms as we've gone through the process, answering questions. It's just not making sure that everybody has the same expectation as far as grant writing and grant administration, which is, I think you heard quite a bit about how much fun that is. But we'll let Intercog, or I'd recommend letting Intercog do that because that's what they do. And let the engineers do the engineering. There is a relationship between whoever you select and Intercog in the grant writing as well as the grant administration because of the process that we have to go through, in particular on this one. So, again, not saying anything about any of our firms one way or the other. Let the engineers be engineers. Let the grant writing and grant administration go to those people that do that. I think that'll be the best case for all of us as we go through the process.
Well said.
Does that answer your question that you
Well,
had?
I think
as
for
far
my,
as-
but the GIS, I really feel that's the way it is in the future. And then we avoid, like we were talking one day, you've got charts and diagrams somewhere in the back room that, I think we need to get all that information as accessible as we can.
You bet. With as easy as it is to access that data through Google Earth and other programs, we can make it available to everybody. So.
And I think you mentioned at one of the meetings that the one group that you work with has that capability.
Yep, they sure do. Yeah.
And there's an existing map of it already, is my understanding. We commissioned it.
We commissioned a
So we own it.
GIS map of the entire water system, including valves and water lines. Fire hydrants.
Proprietarily ours.
It is ours.
Yeah, and that data, we kind of explained during the proposal process that that data can really be seamlessly transitioned right into ArcView, so.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, Brent.
Okay, I have a motion and a second to approve the engineering service agreement with Crawford for the Stormwater Southwest Water System Project. Roll call, please.
Hannah,
Yes.
Lenius,
Yes.
Vaughn,
Yes.
Grover,
Yes.
O'Laughlin,
Yes.
Kurtz,
Yes.
Hill.
Yes.
Okay, motion carried. Next on the agenda is a motion to approve a resolution allowing an internal advance for the street prioritization and traffic study.
This is an IRS requirement if we're going to repay ourselves for any of the work prior to getting too far into the project. This goes back to the original RFQ for the traffic study at 17th Street Southeast, as well as for the street prioritization project, should that develop into or spin off any projects from that. It just says that we can repay ourselves for any expenses that we incur on the early stages of the planning portion of the project.
This is more or less a formality.
It's a formality.
Okay.
Again, what you're doing is just saying, hey, we can repay ourselves for those costs involved in the upfront planning, should it turn into a project.
Make a motion. You've been kind of quiet tonight. Richard or Steve will put your name in the paper for a motion.
Do I hear a motion?
I'll move we approve the resolution.
Okay, thank you. Second?
Do I get if I second one?
I have a second over here already.
Put his name in the paper for a second.
That's right.
We already got one.
That's right.
Roll call, please.
Lenius,
Yes.
Vaughn,
Yes.
Grover,
Yes.
O'Laughlin,
Yes.
Kurtz,
Yes.
Hill,
Yes.
Hannah.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion is carried. Next on the agenda is a motion to approve a 20-year trail maintenance resolution on the Highway 150 Enterprise Drive Trail Project.
Part of the federal funding that we are looking at to pay for the trail project, I believe it's $180,000 of federal funding earmarked for this. We're required to adopt a resolution saying that we're going to maintain the trail for 20 years. It's like maintaining sidewalks, trails, it's our responsibility. They just want our assurance in the form of a resolution saying that we will do that.
I'll make the motion.
Okay, I hear a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second it, but does that include like snow removal and that sort of thing?
Well, they're not talking about snow removal, they're talking about maintaining it to keep it functional, make sure that the concrete
Won't
is,
be functional with that much snow on it down.
it'll last longer, it's insulated.
Right. Anyway, I
That-
second the motion.
The purpose of this motion is not to refer to, we're gonna sweep it, we're gonna keep the snow off of it. That's part of our city ordinance, but that's not part of what they're saying here.
Okay, I have a motion and a second to approve a 20-year trail maintenance resolution on Highway 150 Enterprise Drive Trail Project. Roll call, please.
Vaughn,
Yes.
Grover,
Yes.
O'Laughlin,
Yes.
Kurtz,
Yes.
Hill,
Yes.
Hannah,
Yes.
Lenius.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion is carried. Next, under new business, I have a motion to approve the DOT agreement for the Highway 150 Enterprise Drive Trail.
This is the agreement that says that we will honor the Title VI non-discrimination assurances that we've already forwarded to them. It's our agreement with DOT to move the project forward. It does not ensure funding at this point. They're very adamant that this is not your funding agreement, it's the project agreement. I'm not sure how many more agreements we can go through, but there'll be a couple more before we get the project moving forward. This funding is not available until after October 1st.
Okay.
I'll make the motion.
There a motion, second? I have a second. A roll call, please.
Grover,
Yes.
O'Laughlin,
Yes.
Kurtz,
Yes.
Hill,
Yes.
Hannah,
Yes.
Lenius,
Yes.
Vaughn,
Yes.
Thank you. Motion is carried. Next, I have a motion to authorize the order of a squad car unit and to retain the current unit as an administrative vehicle.
This one's about as we would like to see if we can get another squad car in this next 2017 year, for the budget year of 2018. And keep 54 as our oldest one we have, has 70,000 miles on it roughly. Keep it as another squad mainly for the school or for other things. It's one that I currently take home. That way we can keep miles off as many as we can, and if we need one for school, we have that extra one. So this is what we're looking for.
Dustin, at the end of the leases for these, we have the option of retaining the vehicle for $1, is that correct?
Correct. Just when we lease one, we have it for 3 years. At the end, for $1, they're ours. 54 was actually currently bought outright right away, so that one does not have a lease on it. So that one's already bought and paid for.
Car 54?
Yep.
You have a car 54?
Where are you?
Yeah, that is the one that I currently drive.
Should even Muldoon have it.
R-54?
Yep.
We don't know where it went to.
The reason this is in front of you tonight is because if we can order it now, we can save a little money because it's less expensive to get them before they put the price increases in, moving into a new model year. We do not expect delivery until July, August at the earliest. Generally, the last couple of years, they've come in, I think, the end of July or 1st of August.
So this will be in fiscal year 18 budget?
It is in the fiscal year 18 CIP. It's already budgeted there. We don't order it without the council's approval. That's part of the agreement that we made in the CIP, is we're still coming back here for the blessing. But we want to order it now, like I said, when we can order the model year, current model year, before the price increases come in. We don't have to do it tonight. I want to be clear that this is not a last-minute thing. Your backs are against the wall. This is the last opportunity you have to get this current model year. If we wait another week, it's going to move into the new model year and those added costs that go with it. We have really waited as long as we can and in working with Rydell and Mr. Butler to get that, but that's really where we're at.
Keeping this extra car, if that one dies and we have to get rid of it, are we gonna come back to the council and say, I want it replaced because we've got this car?
If 54 dies, when 54 goes out, I would look to lease another one and take the oldest one as another one, as the different one. We would get rid of the one that would die or the next one. Eventually, we'll have to lease another one, and when that time comes, we'll get rid of the oldest one we have. I say this, so it just would be eventually from this, if we would get this one and keep one we have, from this point on, it would just be turning it over and trading one in at that time. So.
What you're saying, go ahead.
You mentioned that we already had, this is already on the schedule for next year, why we're just bumping it up a year?
The one that we're asking permission to order
Yeah,
is already in the CIP for 2018. That's
but we were gonna trade one in then at that time, right?
We hadn't talked about what we were going to do. It's simply in the CIP to order a new vehicle.
What we're doing here is adding a vehicle.
We are increasing the fleet by one.
Right, and that's gonna bring your fleet total up to what?
4.
Are you looking at for squad cars that are marked that they use, or all of them in total?
If we don't do it, is there one you can drive home at night?
Well, 54 is the one that I take right now. Is the one that I currently take home right now. But there's been time.
If we put it in the pool of squad cars,
It is in the pool of squad cars.
that would make 3 in the pool, right?
Right, we have 3 in the pool because Cass takes his home and then nobody else uses that one. But we have 3
Right.
squad cars for all the rest of the officers to use. When we're fully staffed, when Skylar's done with his training and back on the road, they come and actually take the squad car from behind my house where I park it. When TJ's working, he drives it around, then drops it off at the end. There's been times that I've needed the squad car and it hasn't been there. I've had to use my personal car. But yeah, when we have fully staffed, it is in the rotation of everything.
Your current fleet has 3 patrol cars that are shared with all of the patrol officers, except the K-9. The K-9 has a dedicated facility or a vehicle. You've got 2 unmarked. So you have a total fleet right now of 6. This would take your total fleet to 7, so you would actually have the 3 marked squads for patrol, the administrative vehicle, which could double as a patrol in a pinch, the K-9, and the 2 unmarked.
Correct.
The 2 unmarked are not patrol vehicles. One is a pickup for basically picking up bikes and what
Yep,
have you around
the-
town.
The pickup truck,
crime lab.
bikes, chemicals, meth lab, stuff like that, we use the pickup truck for. That belongs to, that is driven by Darwin, he's our main investigator on that. That one is a 97, we got it as a forfeiture in 2000, and it is about to fall apart. The Equinox is a 2009 that Brinkema drives, that's the one that he currently has. Just as, he's the captain, he's the one that uses that one, so.
Did you get that pickup traded off?
No, I have not. No, we still have it.
Did you have a checked or chance to check with Ford Motor Company about that option we were discussing? About shutting that motor off 5 minutes after they get out of it?
No, I have not had a chance to do that.
I'd be for that if he's gonna add that to it.
Okay.
But I'm not until then.
But as far as the car that you'll use, number 54, the chance, how many miles does it have on it?
70-some thousand?
So, and you're not gonna, I mean, you won't pile up the miles that a patrol car will?
No.
Will you?
No.
So, I mean, this thing could realistically last, a while.
Yeah, especially just after the work it's had done.
Okay. So, I mean, it's not like we're just really dumping a piece of junk on you that
No.
only gonna go for a little while, and then we're gonna have to have this conversation
When,
again.
when I first started, I actually took, I think it was 51 that I took home. And then after looking through it for a little bit, a couple months later, realized, okay, 54 has the most amount of miles on it. And to save miles on it, I traded and I took 54 home instead. With that being, that I want to keep as many miles off as we can. Use it for a school car if somebody needs to travel to a school. Because there's been times we've tried to borrow the city car to have somebody go to a class and it's being used by somebody else. So this way we'd have one that somebody can pick up and take and use it as a school car, so as well. So.
Up until a year, just over a year ago, there was an administrative vehicle. Chief turned it in and it did not replace it. So it's not unprecedented. It's not something that is totally unique for us. It's just, like I said, up until year and a half ago, there always had been one, or had been one in recent history. I don't know how long always is, but.
That works 2 ways though, Al. We've got along without it for a year and a half too.
And recently, actually, when 54 was bought, they actually bought an extended warranty on it. Recently, the front part of the motor had a leak in it, so it went into Rydell, and it spent 2 days in there, had the pretty much top end and the side of the motor taken apart and replaced because of some seals that went bad. So the pretty much the top and the side of that, the timing chain cover and everything has been replaced, the seals on it, so that's gonna even hold it up even longer, so.
I really think is, with Chief Dallenbach being on call almost 24 hours a day, him having a vehicle at home would be an asset, and.
He does have one.
Currently, I do, yes. For instance, one night at 1:30 in the morning, the only officer that was working had an OWI, and he was tied up there. They called me, I jumped in the uniform I had, went and got my squad car and went to the call because somebody was lighting stuff on fire by the creamery. So I was able to get to that call without having to drive my personal vehicle down to pick up a squad, then to come back, or to take my personal vehicle to it myself. I have no problem doing that, it's just I'm concerned about liability-wise if I get into an accident or something happens to it while I'm driving my own vehicle. This way, it would give us another one on the fleet. It'd give me one to take from the time that I need to hop in it and go. And once we get fully staffed and everything's back in rotation, they will be taking my squad car, or the one that I use now. It's not mine, but the one that I use now, and they'll be taking it on patrol. So if something happens while they have it on patrol, it's not there anymore. I don't have it.
So by doing this, you will have a car.
Right, I will have one there.
Okay, and I agree with John. I think that's an asset that you have that.
Another thing we gotta look at, we're gonna spend a lot of money here, probably within maybe a year or two, of replacing that police station. And this is all money that could be going towards the police station.
One of the questions that was asked was the added cost for insurance. Because of the type of insurance that we have for the city, it's a blanket insurance policy. However, as near as Mr. Evers can attribute to us, it's between $88 and $100 a year for the added insurance. having an additional vehicle in the fleet. But the committee did ask about the added cost for insurance. We're not adding cost to the city. This is a vehicle we already own. It's a vehicle that's already paid for. I don't think you're going to find a better opportunity to do something of this. You have a vehicle that you've owned since it was new. We know what's wrong with it. You know, the vehicles aren't brand new, and they do have wear. Any squad car will, but it's probably as good a vehicle as what you will find for this. But again, at this point, the question tonight is if we have permission to order the vehicle, being up front, and I commend Dustin for putting it out there right up front, saying, you know, it's in our intent not to trade off a vehicle, but to keep it in the fleet. But the real question tonight is whether or not we have permission to order a vehicle.
Were you gonna look into that option then, Dustin? or no?
Yes, I plan on looking at it. I've been extremely busy this last week trying to get some stuff done. I had a
I
chance.
just wondered if you took it seriously or
Yep.
not.
Did we have a motion on this yet?
No.
Okay, no.
I'll make one if you need one, but are we
Yeah.
ready?
No
Are we
motion,
done with
okay.
discussion?
Okay.
Aren't you covered the same whether you're driving your own personal vehicle as you would a cop car from your house?
For myself, correct, but my personal vehicle is not. If I would get into an accident, it would come back on the city to pay for it.
But we'd pay for it if you were in a cop car too.
Well,
That's-
no, I don't want him, I'll tell you, I'm not trying to tell you what to do because it's a political decision, but I don't want him driving his personal car to a cop situation.
Okay, I'll make a motion that we move forward with ordering the additional car.
I second that.
Okay. I have a motion, second, to authorize the order of a squad car unit and to retain the current unit as an administrative vehicle. Roll call, please.
O'Laughlin,
Yes.
Kurtz.
Yes.
Hill,
Yes.
Hannah,
Yes.
Lenius,
Yes.
Vaughn,
Yes.
Grover.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion is carried.
Thank you.
Next on the agenda is a motion to approve Independence Light and Power to place Wi-Fi equipment in city parks and for the city to accept maintenance and responsibility for the equipment following its installation. This is something was talked about at your committee.
This was a committee action. The recommendation was to put the Wi-Fi in Riverside, or Riverwalk Park and the complex. It is our responsibility once it's in. Again, they're being very generous to upfront the cost and put the equipment in. And publicly, I want to say thank you for that. I think it's a benefit to the citizens, but we do accept that responsibility once it's in. They are not charging us for the Wi-Fi service. They're offering it as a service to the community.
But are they going beyond just the two that we were talking about? Not, this looks to me like it's gonna be in all of our parks, or just
No,
two?
just two. We discussed,
Because I know we discussed the
yeah,
two.
the reason we kind of, the committee, we talked about these two parks is this has a limited range. And we talked about the RV park, but because of the vehicles and their construction and things, they really don't feel it would accomplish, you know, as much as we could. Whereas at the ballpark, you get a lot of people that are there all day for tournaments and stuff, and parents are sitting there. The other thing is Riverwalk Park, again, you get a lot of foot traffic down there, and people would be able to use it, and so that's why we kind of settled on those two parks.
Aside
Not
from the
a-
RV
It
parks.
just looks to me like in city
Instead.
parks, it doesn't really identify the two. It's kind of like,
Yeah.
and maybe we don't need to.
Because that's the two that they've offered to pay for and install.
Okay.
It's those are the most widely used, the way Bob and I looked at it.
Yeah.
Serve the
That's-
best for the most, yeah.
No,
Don't
I-
you think the majority of the people in those areas already have a cell phone that can get that right in their cell phones?
They can pick up the Wi-Fi
Pick up
at
the
the
Wi-Fi.
park.
Pick up the Wi-Fi.
But you have that,
Otherwise, you're using your own data.
right,
It's a
which
service.
you use
to
all the
people.
time. But you know how expensive it is to replace it? Would you say $15,000 if it,
It's 8,000, estimated 8,000 per site, so
like Bob said the last time, if it breaks down and we have it, the city's gonna expect us to replace it. Do we have the funds to replace it?
We might today.
If we vote for it.
tomorrow. If we keep
I'd say
going, we won't
if
have.
they, if they go down, I'd say forget it.
Yeah.
Well, maybe that's how you look at it. If they
Yeah,
go
it's-
down, then we just don't replace it. But I think it's a good service to add.
Are we gonna be taking any money in on this to offset our costs at all?
No.
But we're getting the
So-
We don't
Wi-Fi
have any
for free
costs.
from the city, too.
Right, but the only thing
Like power.
we're gonna be out, if we're out, we're gonna be out the maintenance, yeah, the maintenance on it, correct? If it breaks down, we gotta repair it.
Well, it becomes our responsibility. It'll fall under our
We're not-
insurance.
We're not bringing in anything to offset that at all, right?
No. There's no charge for service. It is not a revenue stream. It is a service to the public. It's about $8,000 per site.
Yeah.
Indy Light and Power will do all the installation. They're
right.
contributing the equipment up front, but it becomes ours after that. So
Mike says we gotta run it like a business. That don't sound like a business I wanna get into.
generally, city government are doing those things that
Boy, it did
business
come back
won't.
to haunt me, didn't it?
I think that's one thing, as you sit on any city government body, you find out fairly quickly that.
What goes around comes around.
Government bodies are very hard to run like.
You got me on that one, Denny. You did get me.
I'm done.
Do I have a motion on this?
I guess I'd make the motion to accept the gift from donation.
Power?
I would second it.
Donation.
Donation.
Okay.
I would like you to identify the park specifically too, so we're all clear on that.
The donation of the Wi-Fi equipment for use in the complex, at the complex and in Riverwalk Park.
For the city to accept the maintenance. So you have all that, Gina?
I just took out city parks in the motion and inserted the Riverwalk Park and Complex.
Okay. That sound all right?
Yeah.
Roll call, please.
Kurtz,
Yes.
Hill,
Yes.
Hannah,
No.
Lenius,
Yes.
Vaughn,
No,
Grover,
Yes.
O'Laughlin.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion is carried.
I think we should also, some on it, thank Kevin and all the people at Indytel for doing this. I
Right.
think that
Their board and all.
it's, yeah, the board and everybody.
We will take care of that.
And I'm sure I'm sure when it comes time to replace one of them, Kevin and the board will kick in, so.
Well, we'll see what happens.
We'll worry about
Hopefully
that
that'll be a
later.
long way
We'll
down
worry
the
about
line,
that later.
along the way.
Don't say too.
And some of us may not
say
be
yes.
around anymore. Okay, moving on. Under new business, I have a motion to approve the request to place a street light in the alley between Fifth and Sixth Avenue and Seventh and Eighth Street.
I make
This
that
also
motion.
was discussed at your committee.
I'd second it.
Aye.
Do I have, no, do I have a motion?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Do you want a roll call on this?
We're trying to move you along.
Hill,
Yes.
Hannah,
Yes.
Lenius,
Yes.
Vaughn,
yes.
Grover,
Yes.
O'Laughlin,
Yes.
Kurtz,
Yes.
Okay, motion carried. Next is,
Austin has a radio in the
Austin.
background.
Austin's listening to the tune.
Sorry.
Is
I've
Austin
been
at a
trying to
party?
keep you guys muted until I have to speak.
You think
but
we
I
need
can hear
entertainment?
anything going on around me.
okay, I have next on the agenda is a motion to approve the write-off submitted by Independence Light and Power.
I'd like to table that because I've questioned why they're not trying to collect some of those bills. And I talked to a couple of people on the board and they were gonna check into it further.
Does this have to be done by a certain time or anything? Is this something that can be tabled to the next meeting?
from the light plant, so their board has already approved them. I did ask Linda a little bit about it, cause I had this questions last year about what happens. They write them off and then submit them to like a different kind of tracking account, she said, and then they set them to like the Iowa income, or the Iowa offset program. So then they still try to collect, and what happens is once they get information on these people, then they can try to continue to collect on them. So they're not trying to collect any longer. They're still going to try to collect off of them, but they're just trying to clear their books to go into the next year.
But when they go to those collection agencies, don't they get the majority of the funding?
Yep.
Probably.
Well, I think
Statewide program.
this is the one where they take away your license when you go to license your car and whatnot, they can jam you out.
Yeah, this is a statewide program that the city got involved with years ago and signed up for.
Then why should we write it off then?
No, it's not.
It's
not us,
It's
it's
not.
You're transferring the debt to the,
They're yeah.
yeah, you're transferring the debt to the right, to that.
That's not what I was told when I talked to
Well-
two people on the board.
We've dealt with this before. We've dealt with
Every
this
year,
every year.
they bring it to us,
And
yeah.
this is part of their process.
Right.
They go ahead and try to, it's not like they're just done. Tabling it is gonna do no good. Tabling it's not gonna change one thing. I mean,
I got, Deb, were their board members thinking of going back to look at this at a?
Well, the one asked what a solution was, and it's just like, you know, if you're not paying your light bill, you turn it off. They can do that.
but I don't think that's, you know something, I don't think that's our business. I don't think it's,
But we're-
you know,
we're saying
that's
we're gonna write
their,
it off.
that's their, but they write it off, but they continue to try to go get it. I mean, we're not, the city council shouldn't be in the business of saying, turn their electricity off. That's how they manage their business. And I
This-
think we ought to support them in that.
And this also includes your water, sewer, and garbage fees, which are part of your utilities as well. And you've already said it very clearly, the write-off puts it in a different category on their financial statement. It keeps it in the right box, if you will. It does go to the state set-off or set-aside program, which is the most effective way that we have to go after bad debt on utilities. It's not 100%. There is no such thing as 100%. John's correct. If we went to a traditional collection agency, we'd get pennies on the dollar. If we do the set-off, we get a much higher response as well as a better collection for those numbers that do come in. I'm not going to tell you we do a great job of collecting. They have to have revenue from the state generally before we get it. There is some provision for driver's license and other state-issued permits that they can use as leverage. But it's the most effective program available to city government for collection of bad debt. If they shut the power off, we shut the water off, garbage off, there's still an outstanding debt. You get to the point where you have a debt before you do that. So there's always
But
something.
if you
to
want it
consider.
back, you pay the debt then.
There's some provision for
Or-
that.
Or, you know, garnish their wages. I don't know. But two people I
Or-
talked to,
or-
this is
Or I'll
the
tell you,
answers
I'll
they
tell you all
gave
the
me.
tricks they play. They have a buddy who signs up,
Yeah.
or they move to the next town, or they just don't have sewer and water, and they poop in the backyard.
Well, the people, we've seen the list of people that are on there, and we know that some of them have jobs, and that there is a way to get the money out of these people.
It costs money to go after them in small claims and to go after garnishment. All they have to do is change checking accounts and stuff, and you have to figure out where they open the next one at. In previous years, I've tried collecting debts at different times, and it's not an easy project.
But I think this is.
This at least gets it off of
advice?
Independence Light and Power's books.
My advice is to do this, to answer Denny's question, it's by far the most cost-effective, because there's just no way you can waste your time trying to collect on these people. And there's deadbeats, there always will be deadbeats, and deadbeats are experts at being deadbeats, and they will usually win in the long run, because that's what they make their life about, is getting away with something for nothing.
Let's go to two newspapers, the names of the deadbeats then.
I didn't
That'd
quite
be in the
understand
paper.
what you
Oh, we
stopped.
can't
No, no, we're not gonna do
No,
that.
we can't do that.
I didn't quite understand.
Okay, I think
Okay,
the discussion is open.
I'll make a motion that we
Approve the write-off.
approve the write-off.
I
I'll
don't
second
We
believe,
aren't done with the discussion yet.
I don't
think
believe
we're
that.
done.
We're
you can
ending
make the
discussion.
names.
What?
What?
I don't believe that you can make these names public.
No.
That's why they're on a different section of your agenda.
I don't think we
that
wanna
you're
get
not
into
allowed.
that, and I don't think we get into telling IndyTel how to run their business.
I didn't
Okay,
know.
okay, not everybody talk at once. We have a motion, do I have a second?
I second.
Thank you. As far as I'm concerned, the discussion is over, you can make it out with your vote, so we can do a roll call, please.
Hannah,
No.
Lennius,
Yes.
Vaughn,
I was gonna vote yes, but seeing she put it like that, I'm voting no.
Grover,
Yes.
O'Laughlin,
Yes.
Kurtz,
Yes.
Hill.
Yes.
Thank you, motion is carried. Next on the agenda is a motion to approve a resolution setting authorizing a 3% solid waste collection fee increase.
This is in keeping with the recent notice that you received from Waste Management that their fees to the city for solid waste collection is going up 3%, effective, I believe it's June 1st. You do not have to approve this increase. However, if we do not collect enough on solid waste collection fees, it then comes out of property taxes, as opposed to being a service or a user fee that it was designed to be. So we're just bringing it forward to you so that you can approve it in time to keep it, to keep pace with Waste Management's collection.
So my monthly bill will go up 3%?
That's correct.
Okay.
So the 1526 goes to, and I don't have those numbers off the top of my head, but it goes up 3%.
Yeah.
Goes to 1570.
Thank you.
What
I-
year is this of our contract?
This is the last year of our current contract. The current contract can be revisited at any time. After this year, you have to provide certain notice. I don't know how many years specifically we've been with Waste Management, but at this point, this is your last year in the current contract. If everybody's silent, it automatically renews for another year. I think you have to let them know.
And does this fee change July 1st? Is that when they're?
I think it's
looking at?
June 1st that this.
July 2017.
Fiscal for,
No, but I mean, July for ours. I believe that Waste Management fee changes June 1st.
oh, okay. Do I hear a motion?
I move we adopt the resolution.
Thank you. Do I hear a
Second.
second? Roll call, please.
Lenius,
Yes.
Vaughn,
No.
Grover,
Yes.
O'Laughlin,
Yes.
Kurtz,
Yes.
Hill,
Yes.
Hannah.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion is carried. Whew, we made through with the agenda. We're down to reports. Dustin, do you have anything else you would like to have for a report?
First off, they say thank you for approving the squad car. It'd be great to have another one in our fleet, so we make sure we always have one when we need one. Last couple of things, last week we had Officer Lau. He went to radar training down in Des Moines, a radar LiDAR certification, so that way our officers, like Officer Schuyler, when he gets done with the academy, he'll spend a day with Lau, go through the training with him to make sure that he's able to use the radar, understand it properly, and so forth. We don't have to have one, but it's good to have one in our department so that if we ever get called into court or need somebody to back up saying, yes, he knows how to run the radar, and yes, everything's working properly, we know that he's gone through this training with Officer Lau so that we have somebody here to actually help him with it. Another thing that I'm bringing up is at the Public Safety Committee, I discussed some items that we were going to be buying from the Knoxville Police Department, their canine items. Being in the police chief, I became a part of the Police Chief Association, and whenever I get notifications of somebody putting something on there, the Knoxville Police Department decided to get rid of their canine unit. They had a bunch of items up for sale. I took a picture of it, sent it to Officer Cass. He sent back, very interested in the items. We were able to get them from them for a cost of $250. I brought all once the equipment was all, Officer Lau, when he was down in training down in Des Moines, he went from Des Moines over to Knoxville, picked up the items, brought them back to the police department. I took them and put them on our conference room. I had Officer Cass go through them. He gave me a list of every item that was on there and roughly what it would cost our department to buy that. We paid $250 for everything. Officer Cass's total for everything that we got from that costs $3,700. So for $250, we got $3,700 worth of items from the department. So, got an email from Officer Cass about a decoy training school that he would like to host here in town. He's looked at, I've discussed it before, he's looked at the hotels of pricing for that. I believe MHI is the location that we're going to be doing this at. So I'm going to be working with him the next couple of days trying to figure out what we need to do and where we need to go from here to make sure everything works properly. This last week we had a court case with Scott Brown and a dog that ended up biting somebody here a while back. I got notification this morning that it was founded as a vicious animal, so I have to serve him those papers. It will be removed from the city limits. The city attorney, David Hosack, gave him 2 weeks to have the dog to be out of town. So when I serve him that, address that with him again. He was told that day, but I'll address it with them again to make sure that it gets out of the city. Last but not least, Jamie Ruther and his pig situation is still in town. We're dealing with that the best we can. We have a person in the area that calls us and lets us know that it's there. We try to get over there as soon as we can to cite Jamie. We've cited him twice for having the pig in town. His court date is the 31st of this month. And we're going to keep citing him. The girlfriend, we're going to start citing her as well until this pig is either out of town or till the court date, and then we'll see how many citations we get. Worst thing about it is when he knows we're there, he has cameras on the house, he won't answer the door. Somebody else, if they see it, gives us information on it, writes us a statement, is willing to put their name to it, we can write a citation off of that. So whoever we have that was willing to cite a statement on that will get another citation for it. Each citation, without one founded before it, is up to $750. I believe the second one goes up to $1,000, if I'm correct. It can be up to $1,000 if we keep going with it. So depending on how many we want to cite him for this, so that's our process with that one.
My recommendation to Chief was the citations are daily until they remove it, because he's had 30 business days to remove it. He's been given a lot of extra grace on this and has been fairly defiant, so the citations are daily.
Yep. The only thing with our citations, either we have to see it or we have to have somebody that's willing to see it and sign a statement for it, and then we'll cite him if we can catch him or not, so. But that's the process we're going through, so we'll see how many he decides to rack up before he decides to leave from the city.
That's a tough responsibility for a neighbor.
Yes, and I hate to put it on people in the community to give us statements for it, but sometimes that's the best way we can do things. The other option, which I haven't figured yet, is we have arrested people for city violations. We haven't gone down that road yet, and hopefully we'd never have to, but we'll see if that is an option down the road, so. But that's all I have, so.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Austin, do you have anything you'd like to give us report?
What was that?
Do you have anything you would like to do for report? I'm going to start with you.
Well, as you can tell, I'm still down in Ames. I got news last week, actually on Tuesday, that I'm going to be down here for 2 more weeks after I get done with my training, so I'm going to miss the next council meeting too.
You're going to call in again?
What was that?
You're going to be able to call in again?
Yes.
Okay, okay.
Yep, other than that, that's all I have.
All righty, thank you. John, do you have anything for report?
I just wanted to thank Officer Lau for being diligent about going around on this grass mowing and the junk, because it really is bad. And I would urge residents to really take heed and try and make good use of our Amnesty Day coming up and get rid of a lot of the stuff that's cluttering up our city.
Okay, thank you. Bob, do you have anything?
Nope.
Deb?
Amnesty Day is June 10th for everybody.
Yes.
So, yeah, that's a good thing to get out there for everybody. Another thing was, I was asked about the sign out by the campground. Are we going to replace that? It told like how many people live, the population, and it's
Sign at
The DOT sign or the big I?
the big, no, not, I don't think it's DOT sign, I think it's ours.
One by the old wood duck. One that was taken down.
Oh, the one that was taken down?
I was thinking it was right there by the campground. I better check on that and get back with you.
There was one right
It's
by
one
the,
that said the population of Independence.
we had one that we were
I think it's-
required to take down because DOT is doing a project in the right-of-way there. And they haven't done the project yet, but we had to have the sign removed before they get there to do their project.
And will we put it back?
We have that option of putting it back, or, you know, there's a question as to whether or not that's the right place to put it back, but, you know, at this point, we just moved it so that, I mean, DOT was willing to move it, but their way of moving it would be a little more catastrophic than what we did.
Okay.
But because we are in there right of way.
Okay, thanks. That's it.
Thank you. Mike, do you have anything?
So on Amnesty Day, that's for TVs and everything, there's not two separate, is there a second date? There's two separate dates?
Yes, Treniers cannot accept TVs on the 10th. They don't have the resources. So we will be taking TVs only on the 17th at River's Edge. But that one is a separate date because of the man-hours to do it and the equipment that they need.
And tires
Also,
are assigned Charlie's, right?
yes.
There are flyers out around town, and then also it's on our website with the details of the dates and stuff.
And in the
of
local
everything that they
papers.
can do, in all the papers.
Uh,
Thank you, all your
the-
papers.
There is a shred day, a community shred day on the 17th as well at the library. We weren't able to get that on the same day as our Amnesty Day, but again, the library with, in conjunction with Bank Iowa, will do a shred day on the 17th.
My only other thing is, I think we've probably all gotten a lot of questions about the letters that the people have been getting, or I guess all of us, from you. But anyways, I know myself, I've encouraged, I've let people know that the city, that they are a reputable company, and that it's an insurance policy. Basically, you know, you take it or not. But someone asked me, is there going to be a second letter? A second,
Second campaign?
Yeah, well, is one for water and the other for sewer, or does this cover everything?
What they are
A little fuzzy on that.
using their terms, it is a water line service warranty campaign. They do have a sewer line service as well. That will be a separate campaign that will come out either later this year or early next year. If somebody were interested in the sewer line now, simply call the number on the letter, and they'd be happy to work with you on that. They're not excluding the City of Independence from the sewer line warranty. It's just that they're focused on the water line currently. There
And
was
yes, they just sent the second letters.
Yes, they did. And I do anticipate.
Second letter for water.
Water line.
Okay. Okay.
And there's
well.
an in-home plumbing one too coming out.
But there's probably anything you
Well,
want.
Separate, if you have a concern about the plumbing inside your house, they do also have a service warranty program that covers all of your internal plumbing. Again, that one will be a little bit more expensive. They can answer those questions. The water and the sewer line, service lines are the ones that we are most concerned about. And those are the ones that you're going to see campaigns or promotions for from service, the warranty service company.
Has City Hall been getting a lot of questions from people on it?
No?
No? Okay.
Gina was going to kick me. Yes, we have. We've had a large number of people walking in and asking, which I appreciate their concern. We've had a number of phone calls. I got stopped in the grocery store. I got stopped in the street in front of my house. I'm glad that people are asking before they do anything with it. Those that I've talked to have been very appreciative of the fact that we are offering it. I won't tell you that they've all decided to buy it, but they are using it. Most of them have said, well, I like the idea, I want it, I just want to make sure it's credible and worthwhile. And, you know, I've also told folks, don't be afraid to check with your insurance carrier. If your homeowner's insurance has a rider that covers it, fantastic. Most, I would say, don't, or if they do, I'm not aware of it. But don't be afraid to check with your homeowner's insurance as well. You know, we're not saying that we have a corner on the market. The city has no take on this at all. We're simply here providing a service to the citizens, so.
I think the biggest confusion that we've seen here at City Hall is people have tried to come here to pay and sign up for it, and it's through the company and not through the city. So that's just been the most confusing thing, I think. The biggest question that we've had.
That's all.
Denny?
I was just curious as to the scope of the repairs we're making to the well house out to MHI.
I have an update for you.
Okay. Other than that, at the library meeting, they was curious as to why their sign got moved out there. It's
Why?
no longer in front of the library.
The ones in the street,
Yeah,
because there was a request to take them down. Didn't we do that at the last council meeting?
we didn't vote on it, though.
No, it was not voted. It was asked that they be taken down.
Yeah.
You can ask for anything?
Council members can,
Really?
yeah.
I'd like a
If you-
raise.
You can always ask. I didn't say you're going to get one.
Well, they got the signs down.
No?
Submit.
Well, but
form
really,
to
weren't the
Mrs. Wade.
signs really intended as a temporary thing until we got the electronic stuff up there for people to see?
Could be, but it ain't
And then-
there.
Yeah, it is.
What is there? What is there?
Electronic ones?
There's an electronic sign, a crosswalk,
Push button.
huh?
There's a
There is.
push button crosswalk sign from both directions. And I appreciate the library's concern, and we've had that conversation at the department head meetings as well. You know, this put them out, take them down, put them out, take it, you know, if the council has strong feelings about it, you know, maybe we should have a council action on it. But they are a temporary sign. All you're doing is you're reminding the motorist that the pedestrian has the legal right-of-way to cross the street in a crosswalk. All we can do is remind them. All the push-button electronic signs are doing is reminding them that the citizen or the pedestrian has the right-of-way. The signs that we had in the street simply remind you that they have the right-of-way. Those signs were being knocked down 3 or 4 times a day, every day. Now, I don't know if it was larger farm equipment going through, which it's the right time of year for that. If it's people just being belligerent or careless, I don't know, but, you know, they're temporary, they're portable. And they were designed to be able to be moved around town to different parts of town, not just for that intersection. But if the council has strong feelings about it, one way or the other, let's take action and formalize that so we know which way we're going from a staff perspective.
I didn't realize those other lights were there.
Yeah. They've been there for a while.
That's all I got.
Anything? Mike, do you have anything else?
Wondered when work is gonna begin on, using the camera to go through the sewer system that we discussed at Public Works. I didn't take notes on that, and I wondered.
That will be on the next council agenda. The Visa Sewer.
Correct.
Yes. That will come up on the next agenda.
That's all I had.
Okay, thank you. Carter, do you have anything?
I've talked too much today, so I'm out of words.
Gina?
No.
Don't see any of the department heads. Al?
Denny, you'd asked about the MHI well. Currently, they are out there working. They have been airlifting material out of the base of that well. As near as they can tell, sometime back, many years ago, they used dynamite to create larger fissures in the rock so that you get more flow from the well. Well, there's a pile of rubble down there that, at 220 or 260 feet, whatever it is, that had accumulated this iron and sulfur bacteria. That's why they weren't able to get it out with the other treatment. They've airlifted it out as much as they can. They've put the treatment in there. At this point, it seems to be holding the chlorine residual. So come Wednesday, we will take some samples and send them in. We have to do some back-to-back sampling and see where we're at with that chlorine residual to see how that's working. It's really at our last-ditch effort to save the well. If this doesn't work, probably we have a well that's contaminated and we won't be able to use. But as of this afternoon, it looked very promising.
Is that kind of an expensive process, though?
It is expensive. I think the test was $400 or $500 just to get the test to give us the formula that will take care of this specific type of iron bacteria. The bacteria is not harmful. It's just annoying and unsightly. But they did give us a formula to put in there to clean it up. You know, it's a couple $1,000s to go through and treat it, not including the work to pull the well and to go down there and airlift everything that's in there out. So we probably have another $15,000, $16,000 tied up in that at this point. And I haven't seen the the bill on it, so that's just an estimate. We'll find out. We should know by next council meeting whether or not it worked.
There's a lot of non-rusty water coming out of it about 2 o'clock today.
Yeah, fantastic. They put the solution, the formula in, if you will, they inject it all the way into the bottom and they let it sit there. Then they have to run their chlorine in there. They have to pump it in essence. But what they're pumping right now seems to be holding its chlorine residual, which is what the iron bacteria does not allow us to do or has not allowed us to do. So, like I said, the report I had this afternoon was very optimistic. Now we have to run the test through the state and make sure that it is actually holding its chlorine residual so that we have good water coming out. But you're right, it was positive this afternoon. The only other thing I have is you talked about mowing the grass. I wanted to remind everybody that do not mow your grass into the street because it goes down the storm sewer. It plugs our storm sewers. That's an awful big part of what we're doing and have been doing is trying to keep our storm sewers open so that when we rain, we don't flood the streets, flood the yards and basements. If you put your grass in the street, it just adds to the clogging of the storm sewers. That's why we have that ordinance on the books, is to keep the storm sewers clean and clear. So please help us out with that. It's the taxpayers' money that we have to use to clean them out when we get them clogged. So you're helping all of us by keeping it out of the street.
Oh, I did have a question. Somebody called about what we talked about at committee with the drain, the storm sewer drain down here on Chatham.
Up by
Being
your house.
Clogged.
It's still plugged.
The water backs up. Is that unplugged yet or?
It is not unplugged yet. They are out there. They have looked at it. Chicken Fry's been notified of it. It was a project that they've worked on. I'm not sure that I have an answer for you as to why it isn't taking. It isn't that it doesn't drain, it's just draining way too slow for the
They
capacity
must have
that
done
it
something
is.
today because it was all flooded out there today.
Yeah, okay. I know that they've been working on it, but,
Yeah, it was flooded and it's not taking the water, it just sets. It
so
seeps down.
yes, they're aware of it. We're working on it, but no, I don't have an answer for you on what's happened there. That's a
I thought there
new
was
one.
a sock down there, is what Tim Donnelly said.
Well, that's what they said is, if one of those socks that they put in front of there so that they don't get dirt and silt to wash down there during a construction project, if that's in there, I'm not sure how they're going to get it out or if they just have to bore through it. That's only a guess at this point, but I haven't had anybody confirm that, and they haven't cleaned it up yet. So,
They said water was backing up with
Yeah.
all these heavy rains.
and I agree with Deb, it still is.
I don't think the rain today was the problem there, though. I think they must have been doing something there.
Well, they were flushing hydrants. I don't know if that's the area that he was flushing hydrants today and it ran down to that. That would do it.
They were flushed them over by River Park or.
Yeah, well, the northeast is where he's at right now with his hydrant flushing, so that would stand to reason that that would put out enough water to back it up.
Did I miss anybody? I actually have nothing, so I will ask for a motion to adjourn.
Let's go home.
A second? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Good night, Austin.
Meeting's adjourned.
Good night.